NC State family, it's time for an honest look at your sports world. Let's get you hooked up for Pack Therapy, presented by First Horizon Bank. Here are your hosts, Tim Donnelly and Wolfpack football legend Mike Glennon.
Welcome into another edition of Pack Therapy, the podcast. I'm Tim Donnelly alongside my co-host, NC State legend, quarterback, longtime NFL quarterback Mike Glennon. To break down today, 45-33 loss to Duke, and a preview this upcoming weekend against Virginia Tech. There's no real fun way to start it, so I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off, Mike. 20-7, State's ahead. Everything's looking good. They end up losing by 12. What happened?
Yeah, there's almost like two sides to this story. It's like if I would have told you that NC State, CJ Bailey there'd be 4 total turnovers. They'd have a missed field goal within the 10-yard line. Duke's offense would do what they did. You would think they probably lost by 20, 30 points. On the flip side, if I would have told you that CJ Bailey would throw for 365 yards, complete 75% of his passes, Hollywood Smothers would run for 123, you would think that NC State dominated the game. And I think, to me, the difference was clearly it was the turnovers. And it wasn't even as much that Duke capitalized on the turnovers. It was more that NC State lost the opportunity to score. And with the current state of this defense, we've talked about it, every week on this show, is that NC State is going to have to turn it into a shootout. And giving the ball to the other team just doesn't create an opportunity for those points. So clearly, the turnovers were the difference in the game. And, NC State is going to have to find a way to become a better passing defense against the pass.
So the turnovers, I agree, right? That's the difference. You have 4 turnovers, the other team has none. That, like, right there, you lose by a dozen points. It's like a direct A to B. I want to talk about the first 2 for CJ Bailey. The first interception, which came in the midst of the run where State got up 20-7, it's kind of just an eyes in the back of the head play by that outside corner, who, by the way, is an All-American, Chandler Rivers for Duke. He's one of the best corners in the country. How does a young quarterback deal with that, where announcers love saying it the other way, where it's like, that's good defense, just better offense, where it may not have been like a really bad read. It may not have been a really bad throw. Sometimes you just have to go, that guy's instincts were pretty solid. Yeah,
so when I watched the film, I didn't realize that watching it live, that the corner fell off on it. Yep. So to explain this pass concept, it was a sail concept, which is kind of a deep out by the number 2 receiver, the inside, the slot receiver. The outside receiver is just running a go route, which is really a clear route. You're trying to just get the corner out of there. And then you have someone in the flat. And as a quarterback, you're reading the flat defender. If the flat defender stays kind of low, you throw it to the sail route behind it. If he stays back, you throw it to the flat route. You're assuming that the corner is going to run out of there. You're not really expecting him to play with vision on the quarterback and break on the ball.
Because if he does break on the ball, he's inherently leaving a guy wide open deep,
on a go,
which everybody knows is a decoy, but a defense still can't just bail off of that route because, if you notice it, you're just going to chuck it deep. It's going to be a long touchdown.
Right. So it's definitely a learning lesson for CJ. My only thing on that would be, leading up to the game, did they say this is a corner that plays this style of football? Richard Sherman used to do this all the time. He would keep his eyes on the quarterback, he would backpedal, and then he would break on the ball, and he would get a ton of interceptions on it. But it was like, that this is the way Richard Sherman's going to play. So if so, I got to see all the way through the corner to make sure he's not falling off on it. So a lesson to be learned for CJ, and it more comes just in film preparation. But to your point, it's kind of hats off. That was a good play by the Duke defender.
Then the second interception I want your perspective on, because Dave Doran revealed in the postgame they didn't even have a play called, right? It was basically we're gonna try to draw you off sides, give you the old hat, and if nobody jumps, bang the timeout, kick the field goal as a 4th down. It looks like Vincent Anthony Jr., the probably future pro edge rusher for Duke, jumps. Refs don't see it that way, but the center does. So he snaps it. If you watch the play, offensive line is going like, what happened? Receivers are probably at best going like 2/3 speed. And CJ Bailey now has the ball Nobody knows what they're doing because they didn't even have a play call. They have their basically baseline. If they snap it, let's take a shot play loosely being run. And it's fourth down. So, like, in the moment, I guess a throwaway would have been the move, or to dart it or something like that would have been the move. But on fourth down, your instincts are probably saying, I got to do something. And he throws it right into the linebacker's chest. It gets returned, whatever it was, like 70 yards. It's a big game changer. From your perspective, how do you react to that appropriately, going from we were up 20-7, and then shortly after that you're trailing 21-20?
Right. Easy for me to say, sitting in a studio and air conditioning, without it going on. Spur of the moment, CJ Bailey reaction, it's still what should be ingrained in your mind. Every coach says is don't make a bad play worse. That's the definition. Don't turn a bad play into a catastrophe. That turned into a catastrophe. So, no snap, no play. I will say the center must have the quickest instincts in the world if he actually felt that guy, because after watching it, I actually think the defensive end timed it perfectly.
Watching it in real time, I was like, oh, he jumped off. Oh, there's no flag. And then you're right. Once you watch it in kind of slow motion, and he even hit he brought his weight back at the last possible second. It was too close to snap.
But either way, the coaching point is you can't make a bad play worse. And it's tough because also in your mind it's fourth down. Don't take a sack, make a play. But you can't just throw it in the middle of the field like that. It's got to be darted way out of bounds, or just take the sack and move on from it and hope that the ref calls, an offsides. I guess maybe in CJ's mind, he thought that it was offsides. So it was like, I have a free play. Again, another lesson learned. You better be darn sure that Aaron Rodgers, that guy is completely offsides, and I got a good look at this throw.
Or if you're going to take the complete chance, take the complete chance 35 yards downfield, where
it's a punt.
It's an arm punt if it's intercepted. I was having this thought, and this is kind of theory, so we'll do it quickly. I almost like having a play called there, saying we're not going to run it, but I want the center almost had too much awareness. I kind of still want him paying attention to the defense. What would my assignment be, rather than sitting there like a NASCAR driver or a F1 driver waiting for the yellow. He's just waiting to time it. So he had nothing to do but to pay attention. So when a defensive lineman moves, even if they don't cross into the neutral zone, he's just snap it.
Yeah. You would hope that they do have a play built in. Mm-hmm. Every offense I was in, it just was a four verticals concept, or you'd run kind of goes on the outside and the slots would run kind of quick outs. But the O-line should have a protection built in, whether it's, a slide protection or whatever. So that way, if it is snapped, you got to be ready. You still got to protect the quarterback. So, I don't know what happened. You saw one receiver just looking at the sidelines, as the ball was being snapped. But I would hope that they have a pass concept and a protection built into those no snap, no play situations.
The other thing is about that play and really the first two interceptions is, you could argue those are flush-worthy plays, right? Weird stuff happens. You learn your lesson quickly. You check it out on the tablet, which we didn't have when we were playing, and you move on to the next. And it's easy to distance yourself from it, right? Wow, what a crazy play by Rivers. I'm going to give him a little bit more respect moving on. Gosh, that was strange. Center snapped it a little too quick. If he would have waited half a beat, we would have got the flag. But it did seem like those two turnovers impacted the rest of the game. CJ Bailey's still just 19 years old, the age of many freshmen, and he's already a second-year starter. How tough mentally is it to have a multi-turnover half and be able to distance yourself from it and not let it become a multi-turnover second half in addition to the first?
Yeah. And I didn't get the impression that he was pressing the rest of the game. It is exactly that. It's okay, it truly applies now. It's they get paid too. They got good players on their team too.
They're on scholarship too, is what our coaches used to yell at us. Now it's hey, they're getting a couple $100,000 over there on the defensive side too.
So the first one, definitely chalk it up to that. The second one, again, it was it was a spur of the moment panic play where again, learn from it but move on. So I think those are the ones that are easy to move on from. It's the ones that are more complete, you didn't see a guy, you made a bad throw, you're forcing it, you're just feeling that the whole seeing ghost type thing. That's when the anxiety kicks in. I would think going to this, I mean, even after all, you could say all that, they were just down by 1 point going into halftime.
The other side of all of this is, first of all, the defense, and we'll get to that, but also Dave Doran and how you handle being up 20-7 and what leads to that as a coaching staff. We'll get to that right after this here on Pack Therapy. Don't go anywhere. Back on Pack Therapy, Tim Donnelly, Mike Glennon. I want to put the focus on the coaching staff a little bit here. Earlier in the season, there was a very, very long, drawn-out conversation that we've had every year, that at least every year the last 5 or 6, with Dave Doran leading the way for State, which is, does he have the killer instinct? Does he play too conservative with the lead? We saw a little bit of it, whatever it was, week 1 against ECU. This one didn't feel that way, although 20-7 and then you end up losing by double figures. It's going to be part of the conversation. Did Dave Doran have killer instinct? Did he make the right calls on 4th down? Did he do the things that you want to see a coach do when you're ahead?
I don't think that had anything to do with the game. I mean, it was the first half up 27. This wasn't like, we're going in the 4th quarter up 20-7. This was early in the game, and Duke's got a good quarterback and a good team. So to me, that had nothing to do with it. Go back to Kurt Roper. This is as balanced of an offense at NC State I've seen in a long time. I think he continues to call really good games. Highwood Smothers has been doing a great job all season long with the offensive line kind of stepping up after that ECU game. So we're seeing a balanced attack. I haven't seen that kind of foot off the pedal. You could argue maybe a little bit against ECU, but I actually think from the coaching standpoint they did. It was more player execution. So that's not a concern of mine right now this season. 39
attempts, 35 carries overall. The only thing I think that might be something you'd like to see is, Hollywood Smothers is pretty darn efficient, and he had 17 carries. Also got it done in the passing game. But is he reaching the point where, 20 carry minimum, you just need to get this guy? It's a low risk way to pick up big yards. Even in that you call it the middle 8, where Duke really made their comeback. They had the 2 touchdowns right before half, the 2 touchdowns right after half. Mixed in there was a 51-yard touchdown by Hollywood Smothers, kind of dividing it up. Are they getting him the ball enough, knowing that he's 123 rushing yards, 170 total yards this week, 160 rushing yards last week, 150 total yards the week before? He's pretty darn efficient.
He is pretty darn efficient, but I would argue, 17 carries plus 5 catches. I don't think you need to force it more than you already are. Yeah. It's an efficient offense as is, and of course, I want to see him be able to touch the ball as often as possible because of his explosiveness. But I wouldn't say there's a lack of doing that. So I think Kurt Roper's got to just continue to call it the way he has. And I will say, Jaden Scott also impressed me. Mm-hmm. I think this is it reminds me of what you see in the NFL, where there's kind of the bell cow, but then the number 2 steps in and you're like, there's not much of a drop off. It's like, you see it in Atlanta with Bijan and Tyler Algier. It's kind of the, similar thing where they're Jaden Scott comes in and he breaks off a 15-yard run, and he's got a little bit different build to him. He's more of the, the bulldozer. Kind of reminds me of, it'd probably be a better example comparing Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, where Jaden Scott's kind of like that Braylon Allen type. But I've been impressed with both of them, and then also, they're going to find a way to get C.J. Bailey on a few quarterback draws as well. So balanced attack to me is good. But never a bad thing getting Hollywood Smothers the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you on Duke Scott, where it's you see him get some carries and you're like, oh, you got to get him the ball more. And then Hollywood Smothers gets it and you're like, oh, never mind, don't give it to anybody else. But Scott has the ability, and if Smothers wasn't playing so well, I do think you'd be working to find Scott the ball. One of the other running, you bring up Kurt Roper a few times, through lines of this season is the I don't even know what the egalitarian way they view their wide receiver room. They're complete. Everybody's an equal. If Keenan Jackson has a big game, he has a big game. If Noah Rogers has a big game, he can be the leader. Teddy Hoffman early in the season had a breakout game. Is that the way you want to see it, or is Terrell Anderson earning that, hey, actually he needs the guy status? He had 75-yard touchdown, another big catch. He's got some wiggles.
I don't think you need to force the issue at all. I think all of them have shown that they can make the big play happen if they get the ball. I wouldn't say any of them look like a true alpha and that much different than the other guy.
How lovely is 166 yards and 2 touchdowns? And
I know.
It's like, well, you got a bunch of guys that could have done that if they were put in that situation.
I mean, we saw the first week it was Wesley Grimes and Teddy Hoffman. Then we've seen
Keenan Jackson
everyone
break out. We've seen Noah Rogers had a nice one up the left sideline.
I would say the constant's been Justin Jolie has been kind of the. It seems like he gets 5-ish catches every game. Everyone else is going to vary from 2 to 6. So. It's kind of a good problem to have because it makes it so the defenses can't key on anyone. But it's just a well-balanced attack. I keep going back to that. Across the board from, pass to run and then also just the way the receivers are made up. It's just a pretty equal group.
That's ironic because one of the things I say about you from a playing career, and I'm quite literally in your family, so I watched a ton and paid close attention, is – I thought you were one of the best I've seen at taking advantage of your dudes. Like if you had a guy, you were always able to, I could know it, you could know it, the defense could know it, the announcers would know it, yet somehow your guy would still have an efficient, we're talking about the Mike Evans, the Vincent Jacksons, TJ Graham from your playing or your NC State career. Like you were able to do that. So is it, they legit have 6 of them, so you're like, I don't need to do that. Is it I don't know, maybe a changing of your philosophy? I mean, look, I've told the Julio Jones story from your All-American game.
If I could have Jeremiah Smith over these guys, I'm going to take him,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this allows you to kind of not predetermine before the snap, which it can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing.
I'm not talking about predetermining, just to solidify my point. Like you hang an extra half beat on your guy to see if he's going to win.
Right, and what I'm getting at is this allows you to truly just dictate, let the defense dictate where the ball goes. It's like, we don't have a complete dude, but we got plenty of really good guys, and I'm just going to let the defense dictate where I go with the ball. So that helps a little bit with before the snap. I'm not going to predetermine where I'm going to go with the ball. I'm just going to play, where if you have a guy, to your point, I might hang on him a little bit longer, which has its kind of pros and cons as well, because you can get in some trouble if you force the ball too much.
Is there a social element to that as a quarterback?
I mean, yeah, you might have to work the locker room a little bit more, and you got to, because I do imagine. I mean, I'm looking at the box score right now, and Wesley Grimes isn't on it.
Yeah, which is tough.
Yeah, it can be tough to. And I get it. They want to be involved too. And as a quarterback, it's your job to kind of acknowledge it and be like, hey, man, next week it could be your week. You were at week 1 against ECU. This is just going to kind of how it's going to be how it's going to be. But I need you to stay in it and mentally be involved and not let this get in the way. So I think as a quarterback, and CJ Bailey seems to have that personality, is you definitely got to work that receiver room a little bit more, massage their egos, because you want your receivers to have kind of a bit of an ego, not too much, but you want them to want the ball, and so it's your job as a quarterback to kind of be that guy that can lift everyone up if they're feeling down.
It's also nice to have the one guy that can't say anything. Like when I played in college, I had like a number one, and we got him the ball. We made sure we got him the ball. If he ever wanted to complain about not getting the ball, it was like, no, get the heck out of here. Like everyone else in this room can come up here and say I was open. If you're open, I'm like, you're done. He doesn't really have that, especially after a game like the Duke game where he threw for 364 yards. If your quarterback throws for 364, it's kind of hard to be like Keenan Jackson, 4 catches, 27 yards. If you throw for 210. All right, I was part of the offense. I had 4 catches. If you throw for 364, it's like, come on, man, I need a little love there. It's just a different beast, and it's good to see, and it's part of. I'll give Dave Doran the hat tip on this one. He gets asked about CJ Bailey all the time, right? You're going to be asked about your quarterback, especially a young quarterback that is flashing what CJ Bailey is flashing. He almost can't help but. Like, hey, I saw he ran for a touchdown, or he ran for a couple touchdowns. Talk to us about his legs, or the throw he made to so-and-so. Talk to us about his arm strength. He almost can't help but start there and end with, And also the way he leads this team and the way he's in the locker room. It's like we didn't ask about that, but he just couldn't help going from, his ability to make a guy miss in the open field. It always ends with the type of guy he is leading the locker room. He's a captain as a sophomore, all those things. So, maybe I'm over talking the social element of it because he's everybody's best friend and everybody loves him.
Yeah. The times I've been around him, he's got a great personality and kind of, seems to have that personality that attracts and pulls everyone in. So I'm sure he's done a great job developing the relationships with receivers. And then I think it also falls on the receiver coach to also receivers have a reputation of being divas, and a receiver coach knows his receivers are going to be high maintenance, and he's going to have to handle that.
And at a certain point, somebody might need a target, right? The best example I have of this is if you ask Shaq, the Big Diesel, who his favorite point guard he ever played with, he always says white chocolate. He says Jason Williams, and he goes because he was like he basically had enough. Like I don't care that Pat Riley could call a play, but if he knew the big fella needed a touch, he'd okay, coach, and he'd throw it into the post because he just knew Shaq had run up and down the floor 3 times and he didn't touch the ball. Now, I'm not saying there's a Shaq in this wide receiver room, but part of being a quarterback, part of being a point guard is, being aware of the guy who's absolutely in a drought and needs just a drop of water. I'm not saying you got to hit him with the hose, but you might have to give him a target.
Yeah, maybe a little play recommendation on the sideline to Kurt Roper. Hey, why don't we get why don't we find a way to get whoever involved?
Let's put him at X for a drive. See if we can't get him something. And maybe the sophomore quarterback gets absolutely not, and you go, all right, cool. I'll go out there and throw it to whoever you want me to. Let's look at the upcoming. Actually, we have to talk defense. Sebastian Harsh, missed the first half with the targeting. Kean Sloan goes out early with the injury. 2 guys who have been making a solid impact, some of the highest graded players. What was the impact of those 2 guys not being out there for the entire game on this Duke game?
Yeah, I mean, NC State's got to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback, especially a good quarterback like Mensah. And I think you felt not having both of those guys in the game. We knew going into it was going to be a challenge for the defense to stop Mensah in this offense. I just think that against good quarterback play, they're going to have to find a way to mix it up in the pressure package to make the quarterback feel more uncomfortable. Against Wake Forest, where they don't have a real good quarterback, or even this week probably against Virginia Tech, maybe you don't have to. Not as good at teams. Against these teams with good quarterbacks, got to find a way to get more pressure on the quarterback because, regardless, even if you don't get home, they're going to complete the pass. And, so might as well try to get after him rather than sitting back in coverage because right now when we sit back in coverage, the quarterbacks are kind of, Swiss cheese defense and guys are wide open.
There was a play when the score was 20-7, State was ahead. Darian Mensah kept it on a run. I think it was a design quarterback run, and he picked up, 9 yards. But and you and I both have experience with this. I think he got caught between like a slide and trying to get the first and maybe getting tackled, and it was real awkward. And, just one of those plays that they're going to replay this in film a few times, and they're going to circle it with the laser pointer and laugh at me. And he stood up, and he had a smile on his face, and it wasn't like he wasn't like locked in or whatever, but I went, he's still really comfortable right now. And that to me was a glaring kind of like warning light for State's defense. You have a quarterback down 20-7 early. You should be able to know, like, we can pin our ears back. They're going to have to throw to get back into this one. Their bread and butter is passing already. Their running game until the end wasn't really getting going until that long run by Castle. Like the fact that he's not shaken at all and he looks comfortable, you have a long game ahead, and there's, you're not taking the life out of their eyes, which is impressive by Mensah, but also, if you're a defense, I would take that personally.
Yeah, Mensah's a good player. The one throw, it was the 4th down when it's kind of what the Lions did the other day. The big was it 4th down, I believe. Anyway, big play action. I think the corner blitz on or a safety blitz, and he was right in his face, and Mensah dropped a dime. I mean, that was a good quarterback that State played against. But as the season goes on, there's a lot of good quarterbacks waiting in line. So that's why I'm sure a huge point of emphasis is going to be this pass defense and how do we get pressure on the quarterback, and then in the secondary, how do we slow down the passing attack? With that being said, big runs have been another constant throughout this year. We saw it, in the Virginia game, saw it again against Duke. Can't give up those big runs. Against Wake Forest, limited those big runs and won the game.
Actually, that might be a good question for how concerned we should be about the secondary moving forward. How, like Mensa, I don't know what you took away from that game, but like Notre Dame with C.J. Carr, obviously Miami has Carson Beck. Haynes King is a different kind of quarterback for Georgia Tech. Like, is that, ACC Conference of Quarterbacks, is Mensa, is he one of the better passers? Is that what you have to prepare for? Like, where does his, I don't know if intimidation factors, but you know what I mean.
I think he's definitely in the upper tier. I don't think he's as good as a guy like as Carson Beck, and honestly, I think C.J. Bailey is
right there with him. I agree.
Yeah, right there with him. Both are in the upper echelon. I don't know, top 25%, somewhere in there. But Mensa is a very good one. I don't think he's going to be the best one he's going to see, but he's a good player.
How worried are you about the secondary in ACC play?
I mean, I'm definitely worried.
Is it secondary specific? Because
it's the whole defense.
People say they almost use secondary and pass defense interchangeably, and they're not, right? Secondary is coverage. Pass defense includes the pass rush and linebackers dropping into coverage and everything else.
It's the whole thing. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. If the quarterback can sit there all day against a good quarterback like NC State's going to play, they're going to find completions. With that being said, I'm not seeing many plays where the DBs are breaking up the ball, interceptions. They gotta be more aggressive, and it just feels like way too many easy completions.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Virginia Tech this week, a little family rivalry for Mike, and at least on the spread, Mike's team, meaning NC State, over his brother's team, Virginia Tech, are 10.5-point favorites. We dive into that one next. Back on Pack Therapy, looking ahead towards Virginia Tech this weekend. Night game, got the 7 o'clock CW start for the CW network for the Wolfpack hosting the Hokies. This one probably holds a little extra spice for you, your brother being a longtime starter at Virginia Tech, you NC State, little ACC rivalry. 10.5-point favorite for the Wolfpack. How confident are you that you're going to have the bragging rights this year?
Yeah, I think he had the bragging rights for the whole almost 2 decades. Definitely in the late 2000s into the early 2010s. But man, what has happened to Virginia Tech? To think of where they were when he was there, basically a top 10 program every year, going to multiple BCS bowls, ACC championships, to 0-3 and a bad loss to ODU. It's like, how can that happen? So. I will say, as fans can project or feel how they want about the status of the coach. Grass isn't always greener. I think Virginia Tech is a prime example of what potentially could happen if you don't get the
I see what you're doing here. Yeah. I see what you're doing here. Yeah. A little subtweeting going on.
But
by the way, Virginia Tech, just to let everybody know, they're voting, I think, this week to give a boatload more money to the football program, which is probably the lesson other programs can learn. Like, if you change coaches and you give the new coach $50 million more a year, the next coach will likely look better, but that's probably money related. Yeah. And that can be applied to any coaching changes that we're going to see at any sport or any program in the next few years.
Yeah, I think resources are a huge part of success of teams. But anyway, this Virginia Tech team obviously struggling, 1-3 now, and it seems like kids might be like redshirting / transferring.
It gets really weird when you move a coach in season where you start to see exactly what you said. Guys deciding to protect their red shirt, guys deciding to maybe change schools, and there's a lot of that going on. Yeah. And you're going to see the same thing at Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy. That's not like ACC or Virginia Tech specific. That's just the way of the world right now.
Are guys actually transferring in season?
They can't. They have to wait for a transfer window.
Okay, but they can go
in
to the portal.
What they're doing is they are announcing their intent to go into the portal and essentially saying, I'm not going to play, and then the teams can elect to make you keep practicing or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because you don't want to play more than 4 games if you're hitting the portal because of eligibility reasons.
Right. Well, anyway, I expect NC State to. I just think they're going to be the better team in this one. The one caveat is forecast is calling for some rain.
The great equalizer.
And you never know what that can lead to. And a fumble here, a drop there that leads to an interception can be the difference. So for NC State, as long as they kind of do a good job protecting the ball and handling the potential weather, I just think they're the better team in this one.
Well, we'll have to wait till the Combine or the Senior Bowl years into the future to get C.J. Bailey's hand size to see if he's ready to rock the spirals in the rain. But being 6'6", 6'7", whatever he is, chances are he'll be okay. We brought up some compliments, some issues about this team, kind of overall. The schedule, especially with Virginia Tech reeling the way they are, kind of sets up nicely in that you got your test, like an emotional test against ECU based on history. You got Virginia, which was a different test, and they put you all the way down to the wire. Chandler Morris was probably the headliner there. Wake Forest, you got the running game test. Damon Claiborne, Robbie Ashford, speed in the backfield. Duke, that's a poison passer test there from Darian Mensah. Now you get Virginia Tech, which for all the reasons you brought up, you don't overlook them, but you'd like to think you can get that win. You'll be the better team. You're a double-digit favorite. And you get Campbell, which is in-state FCS. You should win that one by a bunch. How much of this next two games is about fixing things and identifying what you need to work on and getting those reps in practice and in games during a time where you're not playing ACC elites or you're not playing Notre Dame, you're not playing those top-of-the-line guys?
Yeah, I don't know if fixing things would be the right word going against it. Although Virginia Tech isn't what they once were, it's still an in-conference opponent who, if you don't play well, you could lose the game. So I think it's like, I think the identity of the offense has been, we know who they are. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a balanced attack. It's like, what's this defense going to be to prepare for the second half of this schedule? Talk about going through the gauntlet. You're looking at 4 ranked teams, and Pitt, who's another good team in this second half of the season. So, to me, the offense has to just continue to do what they've been doing. Clearly, protecting the ball has been the difference between a win and a loss. And then defensively, it still is about. I think it's more our identity. How are we going to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback? And how are we going to stop, other teams with a passing attack?
I brought up the team stat rankings in the ACC just to see basically if the eye test watching Virginia Tech kind of matches up, and it does. Virginia Tech, third worst passing offense in the ACC in per game yards. They are the 4th lowest scoring offense in the ACC in per game yards, in per game points, 23.8. UNC is below them. Their struggles are well noted. Guess who's second? Second worst
in
the ACC in points per game. The Clemson Tigers.
Oh, jeez.
So at the beginning of the year, how awesome is it? You dodged Clemson on the schedule. You won't have to see Kate Klubnik.
I'm looking at the ACC standings right now, and to see Clemson as the very bottom,
they're ahead of only Stanford. And points per game. So, maybe they don't have their get-back game, right? You can't overlook Virginia Tech's offense, but, it would have been nice to see Clemson on there to really get your defense back in a rhythm. Just wild to say. Last thing here, and we do this often, if-then statement, right? But which, by the way, when NC State is favored, we use the spread, so it becomes a more aggressive number here. If blank happens, then NC State wins and they cover the 10.5, fill in the blank.
I'm going to say if NC State's defense can hold Virginia Tech's offense to under 25 points,
okay,
they win the game.
That's a little bit above their average. They're averaging just about 24 per game. So if you make their offense play below average ball, then and by the way, they're usually chasing their opponent and going all out. Then State wins. There's the if-then statement to end Pack Therapy. We'll be back next week to break down the Virginia Tech game and look ahead to the Campbell Camels. This has been Pack Therapy. We'll see you next time.